Good morning. All right, I think we are live. Yay, yay, yay. For those of y'all who were here yesterday, you know that I had some technical difficulties getting the webinar started, so I am so thrilled to be here this morning. I am Felicia Mupo. Let me check over in the attendees section so I can see who all's here with me this morning. I'm glad that that y'all joined me because I do have a really, really fun message to share today. Sorry I didn't get a chance to do it yesterday, but we were so close on time that that Bert was nice enough to give me the platform again today so I could come out here and share with y'all. So good morning. Glad you are on the freedailycoaching.com call this morning, that you have set aside 30 minutes of your day really to jumpstart your day, to get some great messages, come out with a community that's going to be extremely supportive and informative and helpful in you building your business. And that's really what we're all here for. That's what the freedailycoaching.com call and platform has been built on. It's been built over the last several months, well over a year now, by Bert Bledsoe. So typically you will see Bert Bledsoe on these calls. He hosts them Monday through Friday at 10:30 Eastern Time. I am Felicia Mupo. For those of y'all I haven't met, but it looks like most of the folks on the line here have seen me at least one time on the freedailycoaching.com call, although I haven't met all of y'all personally yet. I look forward to doing that. I'm hoping to see many of y'all at a conference that is coming up in just a couple of weeks, Live the Dream. So if you haven't heard of Live the Dream yet, definitely a conference that you want to look into because it's going to be some of the huge powerhouse folks converging on Austin, Texas at the end of September for a 3-day long instructional conference and convention, and really just a coming together to make some new friends and new connections. So hope to be meeting y'all there. But good morning. So Karen and Angel and Nancy. Nancy, we need to talk. Linda and Craig. Brian, good to see you over here, bud. Angela, and we've got Secret Guy. I think I know who Secret Guy is just based on the logo, so y'all be sure and tell Mr. Secret Guy happy. Mark, good to see you over here. Look forward to chatting with you personally. I think I'll see you in Austin. And John Wayne, Jack, Bob, Sandy, Mike, Debbie, a couple other people have bopped on and off, so I look forward to seeing them come back on again this morning. But just to let you know, there was a great call last night, a couple of different activities that were happening last night. So I hope that you took advantage of a lot of the training activities that were available to you last night. There are more that are coming up over the next couple of days. So to help you get patched in, as I said, this call happens every single Monday through Friday, 10:30 Eastern Time. You are welcome to come at any time, different topics every single day. Monday's mindset, Tuesday tech tips. I'm usually on Wednesday. It's kind of starting to be coined Powerhouse Wednesday. I like that. That is a lot of what I talk about. Thursday is usually a leader interview hosted by Bert Bledsoe, and then Friday's a free-for-all. So definitely be sure and be here on Friday. Come with some things that you've learned and you've implemented and you've gotten results with in your business, whether good or bad, and share and help us all learn. Also, this afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, I'm going to be hosting a training webinar, one that has been promoted through my blog, it's been promoted through my Facebook pages, and was talked about briefly on yesterday's call as well. And it is a training call that talks about my 90-minute formula for social media marketing success. So what I've done over the last few months is I have looked at a lot of the activities that I was doing as well as that other people were doing to promote themselves, promote their business, their products, their business opportunities, services, and all of that through social media. And got it down and figured out if you focus on just these core essentials for 90 minutes or less. I mean, a lot of times I can get this stuff done in far less than 90 minutes, but to set some realistic expectations, in 90 minutes or less each day, you will find success. You will find momentum rolling. And so that's what I'm going to talk about on the webinar this afternoon at 2 o'clock. I've even put together a check sheet that for anybody who attends the webinar is going to get that check sheet completely for free. I'm going to give you the information on how to obtain it. So after this hangout this morning, I'm going to redirect everybody over to the registration page for that webinar. If you think it's helpful and going to be beneficial to you, by all means, join me. I would love your feedback on that, both personally as well as through Facebook. If there are other people that you think that information would be beneficial to, it's an open webinar. It doesn't cost anything, completely open. Happy to have them join as well. Just shoot over the webinar registration page, which, just to let you know, because I host a webinar every Thursday, it is always feliciamupo.com/webinar. You can always find out what the topic is. Okay, so now let's get into the fun stuff that I was thinking about sharing yesterday, but because of my technical deficiencies, I had a little trouble getting the webinar started on time. And want to tie in some things that are happening right now. Some of y'all may have seen a picture that I posted of my son. It's my 5-year-old son that he just started flag football this year. This is the first year he could do it. He's in kindergarten. So he's been practicing flag football. These boys have been getting together 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week and practicing and preparing for this game. And I'll share with you kind of what happened in their first game this last weekend. But want to take you a little further back and in his sports career, his 5-year-old sports career that he's had, and take you back to T-ball. So when he and this group of neighborhood boys were about 3 years old, for whatever reason, some of us parents thought that it was going to be a good idea to start organized sports. And for any of y'all who have young children who have had this brilliant idea as well, thinking that 3 and 4 years old was a good idea to go ahead and start organized sports, I'm sure you remember what that's like. It is not the easiest task to get them to practice. It's also not the prettiest display of whatever the chosen sport is that you have decided to enroll your child in. So 3 years ago, these boys got together and decided to play T-ball. First year that they could have played T-ball, first year that it was offered, of course it's not for 2-year-olds. But let me tell you, that season, it was a mess. It was an absolute mess for everyone. The kids were out in the field. They were hot. They were crying. I don't think that they were having any fun. They had they had no clue what they were doing. It didn't even look like baseball. So we as parents, we understood kind of at least the game of baseball. It's not that difficult. You hit the ball and you run around the bases from first to third back to home, and that's how you score. And if the ball's hit to you, you catch it and you throw it to someone. Not that difficult. Not as difficult as football or anything like that. So as parents that had been down this path before, we would line the kids up. We would line the kids up in the batter's box. We would line position each one of the kids out in the field at their, assigned position for that inning, and tell them, okay, if this happens, do this. So, okay, we'll put the ball on the tee. When I put the ball on the tee and I step away, you swing the bat and you hit the ball. As soon as you hit the ball, you run and you run that way. Okay? So we would do that, and then, each one of the bases, we would tell the kids, first base, if the ball comes to you, you pick it up, you hold on to it, and you step on the base, and you stand there until a coach tells you to do something else with the ball. Once you get to second and third base, that's a picture that's a little bit more complicated. But anyway, those were the basic rules that we told them. And, of course, if you go look at a professional baseball game, that's true. That's what they're doing, except for they don't have a tee. When the ball comes to them, they hit it, they run that way. They try to get the ball to first base before the runner gets there. And if you're the runner and you get there first, then yeah, you're happy and you stand there. Okay, so all of those rules were right, but still the games really never resembled baseball. Kids were running all over the place. Everybody was crying. Dirt was being thrown. Parents were getting kicked. It was just a mess. Okay, we got through that season. For whatever reason, second season, we decided to do this to ourselves again. So we signed the kids up for a second season. This was now 2 years ago, so the kids were about 4 years old at this point. And because the parents had continued to practice with the kids, and because we had taken them to some local baseball games as groups, and had some parties around the theme of baseball, the kids were starting to get it a little bit more. They were a little bit more excited about the games, and they got down some of the basic concepts. In other words, when you've got the bat, you swing it and you hit the ball. When you are out in the field, only one person needs to get the ball. You don't fight with your teammates, and you get the ball to first base. So no matter where you are, who you are, out in the outfield or infield or whatever, if you get the ball, just always take it to first. Second season, some of that stuff was starting to happen. Some of these kids were showing up as I want to say shining stars. I'm not sure if they were quite shining stars, but they were starting to get it. You started seeing that they were understanding, why am I running when I hit the ball? Why am I running right versus left? Why am I not running back to the dugout where my cold drink is? Why am I standing here in the middle of the field at second base until the coach screams at me to say, "Come on, let's go," and they run to third? They were starting to get it. Some things were coming together. We were moving forward. This last year, so they play spring, summer ball. So this last, spring, summertime, the season's starting. They got all brand new, fresh jerseys, new team name. They were the Rangers. We're here in Dallas, and let me tell you, they were unstoppable. They were absolutely unstoppable as a team. Almost every single, now keep in mind, we had no additional practices. Our practices, they weren't hard. These kids weren't running sprints. We weren't doing pro training. I mean, they're 5 still. They're 4 and 5 years old at this point. We weren't doing anything really different. We were just doing the same thing that we had done for the last 2 or 3 years, but the kids had developed in their maturity. The kids had developed in their skills. Last season, they went undefeated. So it was split 50-50. I think they played maybe 12 games, 8 games, something like that. But anyway, it was half of them were ties, half of them they won. Most of the other teams, because they would allow a tie, most of the other teams in the league just tied all of their games. So they would lose some every now and then, but typically they would just tie all their games until they met this one team. We had gotten to the point where no longer were the kids picking up the baseball and automatically throwing it to first. Well, if it didn't need to go to first, or if somebody was running home and gonna get a run, they came to know, okay, if somebody's standing on third, then you need to send it home. Now, the catcher wasn't allowed to catch the ball in this case, so don't even ask. But the pitcher would catch it on behalf of the catcher at home plate, or the third baseman would run it up there and tag somebody. They got to understand, okay, this is when you can tag. This is when you do go to first. This is when you go home. This is when you go second, and moving the ball around, and in some cases getting doubles. I mean, these are 5-year-old boys who 2 years ago were kicking dirt, yelling at parents, throwing temper tantrums, tears from every child, every single game. It was not a fun circumstance. But with a couple of years' experience, the kids that stuck with it, the kids that stayed in this game, and let me tell you, most of the kids that started with us 3 years ago were still playing on the team this last year. They didn't even look like the same kids. There's one or two of them on there that are going to be baseball superstars. That's their sport. But what they did is they stuck with it. They continued some of the practices, and they were committed to doing it. So let me ask you, bringing this back around a little bit to business, so many people in this industry, whether it's network marketing, whether it's online marketing, home business ownership, or even traditional, business ownership, a realtor, an insurance agent, a car salesperson, or somebody who's, crafting things and selling them. How many people do you know do that first season? So that first baseball season, when you're 3 years old, how many people quit during that first season? I'll tell you, most of them. More than 70% of people quit during the first season while you're still in tears, while you're still kicking and screaming and throwing temper tantrums and wondering why in the, both parents and kids, as parents are going, why can you not hit the ball and run to first? It doesn't seem that complicated. The kids are probably wondering to themselves, and who knows, it's boys, but the kids are probably wondering to themselves, why am I not having fun? Why can I not get this? Now, in your business, how many times have you said that to yourself? How many times have you looked at somebody who's been maybe a few years ahead of you, and they are seemingly doing the exact same things? They're playing the same game that you're playing, just all of a sudden they're undefeated. And you're like, I'm still sitting here with temper tantrums and tears. My word for you is don't stop in the first season. Because if you do, if each one of those kids has stopped at the first season, if you can imagine now a couple of years later, I believe they would all hate baseball. They wouldn't even want to watch it. They wouldn't wear the jerseys. They would never pick it back up in middle school and high school when they really have the muscle coordination to be able to play the sport. Make sure that you're making it to that third season, fourth season, fifth season, because that's when you're going to find your undefeated streak. That's when what you're doing today is actually going to produce the results that you see other people getting in their businesses. That's when it's going to happen. It's not that it can't happen in season one. Trust me, we got runs in season one. We didn't really lose games in season one. We just tied a lot of games, which means the other team got to run 5 runs. We got to run 5 runs. They did 5. We did 5. And then all of a sudden they said, okay, time's up. It's been an hour and you get to go home, which everybody was happy about. But you really get to experience the true success. So sometimes it just takes a little while. It takes a little while to build up your skill. It takes a little while to build up your confidence. I'll tell you, that first season, our boys were not running people down to tag them out at home plate. They were running around in circles going, what do? I got this ball. It's like a hot potato. Let's get rid of it. They weren't running people down. By the third season, oh, heaven forbid the child that was trying to run from third base to home base when the pitcher had caught the ball, because the pitcher was going to play a little football or rugby and take out that kid in order to tackle them, so that way they weren't going to touch that base. That's when your confidence builds up. That's when you know what you're doing is right, what you're doing is working, and if you do it with determination and oomph, I guess, it is going to yield the results that you want. In a baseball terms, it's going to get the out, and the other team is not going to get the run, which means you're going to win the game. Now, I know I talked about the football season, and I'm really excited that football season started. I'm actually the one that posted that over in the comment section in the beginning. I know it looked like Bert, but it was me that posted that. I'm excited that it started. This group of boys, many of them the same ones that played baseball, they decided to do flag football, which again, if you've had a child, if you've had a boy that has wanted to play football when they're 5 years old, not quite sure why we do this to ourselves. I'm sure it's the dads that are enjoying the idea of their kids playing football better than the actual football games. But if you saw the picture of my little guy up on my Facebook pages the other day, this last Saturday, this team has been practicing for about a month now before their first game. They've been practicing, 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week. They got all the fancy jerseys. They got the flags that all match, because it is flag football, not supposed to be tackling, but you know how that goes. They got all the fancy jerseys. They've got, the $20, $25 mouth guards that none of them know how to use, so all they do is chew on them and spit them out and all this. They are sparkled. They've got the fancy cleats and the fancy laces to go with the fancy cleats that match the tall socks. Their uniforms are all name brand with their numbers on them, matching the dad's uniform. I mean, it's crazy. These kids look pro. we show up to our first game. At that first game, all of us parents, most of us are here from the same neighborhood, so all of us come together. We kind of all show up at the same time. We've got tents set up. We've got, chairs lined up. I mean, it looks like a pro team is fixing to play. We've got big buckets of ice that the kids' drink bottles are all in, all properly labeled, so that way when those kids come off the sidelines, they've got cold drink to drink. Even at halftime, they had these crazy fancy snacks at halftime. But let me tell you what happened. The other team that showed up to play our boys, they had been playing for a couple of years together, so they had some advancements there. But they showed up. They did not have the fancy tents. They did not have the fancy uniforms or the crazy customized snacks. They didn't have any of this stuff. They spanked our boys. I mean, they all came in. They came in, I think, on a bus. This team normally does, so I'm sure they did this time. But they all pile out of the bus, and they've all come together as a team. They absolutely ran over our boys. It wasn't as bad as I expected. I think they only got 4 touchdowns, but I don't know that we ever got past the 50-yard line on our side. And again, in the business, I think a lot of us, when we first come into online marketing, we are mesmerized by the sparkle. We are mesmerized and really, really want all of those fancy things, like the fancy cleats, the customized snacks, the banners, the covers, the chairs, all the moms are in the shirts that are the theme, which is the Mustangs, the theme of the boys that are out on the field and all of this. But what that other team was getting on their way up to the game was, hey, look, don't worry about what these kids look like. You go out there and you focus on doing what it is that you were trained to do, that you were taught to do, which is get the football, pull the flags if necessary, and run it down the field this way, then run it down the field that way, and don't get distracted, don't get intimidated, don't get sparkly-eyed by what you see on the other sideline. So how many times have you looked at somebody and gotten sparkly-eyed at what it is that they have? And sometimes it's just that they've got more money, but more money doesn't mean better business. More money doesn't mean more skills. More fanciness certainly doesn't mean more knowledge. But if you get caught trapped in that area of, I have to make everything fancy, I have to make everything glittery and glamour and glitzy, like some of the other people that you see, you'll get stuck in a place where you're going to get spanked, just like our boys did. They looked great, but come halftime when all those fancy snacks were being handed out, we were asking the boys, okay, so who wants to try quarterback? Because there were like 3 or 4 boys that could do quarterback. I don't want to do it. It's like, okay, so do you want to do running back? Asking specific boys, do you want to go play running back? No way. And you ask them, well, why not? This is what you've practiced for the last month. This is what you're all dressed up for, and those are the positions that all of them wanted. They were fighting for running back. They were fighting for quarterback just 2 days earlier, and all of a sudden none of them wanted it. And it was all because the kids that showed up with the desire to really play the game just walked all over them, and they weren't prepared for that. So I hope this message was meaningful for you today, and really what it is, to bring it back together, is making sure that you are focused on the right things in your business. You can't push it. You can't really buy it. You can't sparkly it. You have to develop into it. You have to gain the skills, gain the knowledge, gain the confidence and the wherewithal, and as well as the value that you have to offer to someone, then it will come. But you got to also trust along the way that it will come. What you're working towards, if you've made some good decisions up front, what you're working towards will actually come for you. And making sure that you are following good, good leaders that are telling you this is the way to do it, and then trusting in those leaders. So I hope this was helpful for you this morning. It was a lot of fun for me because it was funny. You know, I mean, it was sad. All of our boys were really upset after the football game the other day, but it did really make me think, because if you think a lot in this industry, so many people quit during that first year. In first year in business, how many businesses go out of business? How many people quit home business development? How many people quit network marketing in the first year? They're still throwing temper tantrums out on the field, never getting to feel the glory, walking away with a bitter heart and bitter thoughts. So let me go over to the chat and see if there's any comments, any questions. If you want to come over and share something, it looks like we still have a couple more minutes. Raise your hand, and I'll be happy to bring anybody over that wants to come join me and play with me this morning. Nancy, so you remember well those days. I'm not quite sure why generation after generation we do this to ourselves. It is awfully cute, but so I'm getting great analogy, fun story. I don't see any hands raised, so it doesn't look like anybody wants to join us this morning. All right, so stay in touch. Tomorrow is Friday Free for All, which means everybody gets to come out on this side, share whatever it is that you've done in your business, progress that you've made, whether good or whether bad. Share it with us, and let's all learn from each other. Let's share with each other things that we've learned. I think it's next Friday, so not this Friday, but next Friday. Miss Christina Urban is going to come out and teach us all about Google+. I know I am not a Google+ whiz at all. So, but yeah, Nancy, so yeah, the concept is the same for everything that we do, really anything that you pick up. Some people pick things up and they're an immediate whiz at them, but that is few and far between for sure. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and send you all over. If you find that it's going to be helpful for you this afternoon to join me at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, or anyone you know to join me at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, I'm going to share my formula for social media marketing success. I'd love to have you on there. If you come with some questions, come with some comments for me. It's a whole lot more fun when I look over into the chat and somebody is interacting with me, and I can answer those questions for you. So I'm going to send you over there. Y'all have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I will definitely be on here tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.